Boom. Recording. Hello, everyone. What are you laughing at?
You saying boom.
Boom. All right, how are we? Episode 19, I think. Jack?
That's
Liam,
what it says
19?
in the top left corner. Assume you've
It's
corrected it.
somewhere, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find it.
You must have checked it before you started recording and started talking.
Yeah,
No one
because
would
I
be
did
that
actually.
foolish.
Well, yeah, we definitely uploaded the last video because I hope we have, because I've just deleted it off our
Liam's children aren't quite in bed
a
yet.
hard drive. So yeah, let's hope it is. I've put out 18. This is 19. How are we both? All right.
Yeah, all good on my side.
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, I'm good.
You
we're
survived a weekend with me.
Yeah.
Me and Jack shared a room.
Yeah, I came back after eating.
Oh yeah, you
crap
stayed, didn't you, as well?
Yeah,
of course.
stayed another day, but I came back and the first thing I had to do was go make a salad because we just ate so much junk food all weekend. My body was ready for some vitamins.
So anyone would think you'd had enough of Warhammer?
Nah, never.
Never. Yeah, so we're back. I think it's been quite a while, though, I know, since we did episode 18. Because I think we've all been quite busy doing bits and bobs. I know I've been doing loads of bits and bobs. So yeah, right. Should we get into it? We're doing this in a little bit roundabout way, aren't we? Because we've got I've got these wrong. Because we've got quite a long thing to go through later on, which we'll get into. So I'll just put the other screen up. Here we are. Next slide, please, Liam. So, hobby. Hobby. There's a lot of white and a bit of blue. Yeah,
where's your hobby banner, Dan?
Hobby time. This is my hobby
banner.
time.
Where's your banner?
Oh, crap. I pressed it and then it didn't come on. Show hobby banner. There we go. Hobby. Cheers, Jack. Yeah, so I think we spoke about it last week. Me, Liam, and Jack are going to the Warhammer midweek event on 18th of March. The 18th? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 18th of March. So it's 1,250 points. That's not all on my list. It's just what I'm playing a game as of recording tomorrow on a Wednesday at our club. So I've just built and sprayed and put base coats down. Yeah, imagine if all that were 1,250. Dragon.
Is that like the fellowship or something in the front of the...
Oh yeah, so that's for another thing I'm doing. So I'm
like, those bases are weird, and I was like, they don't look like elves.
No, they are. That is the breaking of the fellowship. Yeah, I'm taking that to an event in Sheffield on the 14th of March. But yeah, so just doing a few bits. I'm not good. Probably, I don't know. How do you feel about this? Because obviously, the last time we all went to Throne of Skulls, we took nice lists and got absolutely spanked by dragons left, right, and centre, didn't we? Well, Liam didn't, but so I've gone with Wood Elves, which arguably are probably one of the worst of the actual real factions.
The worst performing, but also one of the worst to play against. It's super annoying to play.
I mean, I'm not gonna change that, so that's fine. They've had a little bit of a buff, which we'll go into in a bit. Couple of points decreases and whatnot. But yeah, I've just been getting some base coats down. So I'm going for the winter themed Wood Elves. So I've just been getting the kind of it's called Briar Queen Chill contrast paint, which is actually really nice.
I used it on Night Hawk weapons and stuff to make them look a bit different.
It covers really nicely, I think, as well. I've only used one coat on it, it's covered really well. I don't. If you use it on weapons, you probably won't really need the recess shades, but I think I might have to go back in and do a couple of recess shades just to get that shading on the cloaks.
Do you use that colour on the dragon?
No, so I've actually put him away, but I've actually done that. It's still a forest dragon, so I don't think it changed colours. So it's still a forest dragon colour, so the green and the creamy underbelly.
There's stamp like the deer out of Pokemon that changes colour depending on the seasons.
No, but the rider will have the winter stuff. I might put some snow on it or something. Who knows? But no, I've gone for the I've gone for a green dragon. But if I don't like it, I can always respray it. Doesn't take 2 minutes. But yeah, I've problem is with this army. I had to wait for most of it because all the heroes and like the dragon and the Way Watchers and stuff, they're all you can only get them from GW. So I've had to wait for everything to come in the post, which was annoying. But I've got everything now.
Have you got that? Have you got your Stag Lord that you made me go to Warhammer World to buy?
No, he's not in the list. No, he's not in. He's not going to be in the. He's not in the list I'm using tomorrow, and he's not in the list I'm using at Warhammer World because I'm just taking loads of shooting, just to do what Wood Elves do best, apparently, and shoot people.
But what happens when someone gets into charge range on turn 2?
Well, I concede clearly.
Okay, as long as you've got a plan.
Yeah, we've got bar. Let me shoot you a bit. If you don't die, we'll go at bar. That's my plan. No, I'm hoping they run out of turns before they get to me. or time, we've only been, what are they, an hour 45? Maybe even 2 hours.
Yeah, but it's also 12:50, like.
Yeah, exactly. On a big board, I can spread out.
And this has actually got some restrictions in this time, hasn't it? Unlike
Yes,
last time.
it's the Grand Melee, yeah. So we're not going to be seeing dragons.
Is that the one where you can only take 25%?
Correct, yeah.
Grand Melee?
Yeah. So I think it's like 313 or something like that.
Oh, for characters.
312. Yeah.
Ooh,
so we shouldn't see dragons.
There's still enough like 3 Shigangan Lords there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I think did you put a list in, Liam, or did I put a list in? You can fit 5 in anyway. I know that under the comp and core, but that is all you've got. So yeah, we'll see if someone turns up with
Warhammer. Like, it shouldn't be a race to the bottom.
No,
and it really annoys me that Warhammer is sometimes a race to the bottom. I'll just enjoy it.
Exactly.
We don't all have devil eyes.
Which is why we've gone thematic Wood Elves. They shoot, run away, die horribly. That's yeah. So that's what I've been doing.
I'm going to quickly jump in and talk what little bit of hobby I did. I decided to join in with a local slow grow at my local gaming store for a game called War Machine, which I know we've spoken about a little bit, us guys, before. And in doing so, I printed out a load of models because you can print them. They sell you the files. That's a really good business model. GW, try that. And then I spent ages like Zenithal shading the models with white, sprayed them a bunch with a contrast paint, didn't like the colour, and I just spray them black again. So wasted a day and a half. And that was all my hobby.
Got a thick layer of 5 different spray paints on there as well.
Yeah. Luckily, it's printed models, no one can tell. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is my entire hobby for the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Hobby time wasted.
Yeah. Warcraft has a lot to answer for.
Right, should we see what Jack's been doing? What have you been doing, Jack? What is Jack?
Continuing to pull together my Night Goblin army, which we saw some of last time. I can't remember where I was quite up to.
Is this because of how well I did it that weekend?
Spoilers. Spoiler alert. No, so this is in preparation for 2 narrative events. So we've got the Reclamation of Khazid Bosk. I'm
glad you said that.
2 weeks. So I'm on team Greenskin, and then we've got Liam's narrative in 2 months now, Liam, something like that.
Yeah, 2.5 months, something like that.
2.5 months. So again, I'll be taking these guys. So there's plenty more outside of this picture which I've done, but I've basically got two big units of Night Goblins done now. Loads and loads of squigs. A couple of units of Squig Riders. I've got the sort of newer ones on the left, and you can see the sort of old school Squig Riders on the right. A couple of Snotling Wagons. Yeah, just a sort of nice mix of stuff. And then the Colossal Squig there. I tried my hand for the first time at some green stuffing, so I really reposed him because the the sort of original model is basically just him looking face down at the floor. So like all his face and stuff, you can't see. It's just looking at the floor. So I reposed the leg on the far side, pinned it and reposed it, and sort of green stuffed in some flank and some leg space, I guess. And sort of just in the process of painting him up. So he's not quite finished yet, but I'm enjoying where he's going. And yeah, had fun with the green stuff. It wasn't as hard as I envisaged. It wasn't perfect in no way. I was quite happy with the stuff did around the leg, but you can sort of see just on his cheek there where the join between his bottom jaw, which is a separate piece, and his top jaw is. They didn't quite align, so I put some on there, but I've put it the wrong way across the jaw, so it's sort of going against all like the tendons and stuff, so it stands out a little bit on the thing. But it's
I don't think we when you asked for advice, I remembered something after, then completely forgot to tell you. What I usually do when I'm doing green stuff, and he's actually put liquid green stuff in like to begin with, so it kind of sets where you need it to set, and then go back over it with the normal stuff, and use a wet tool to basically smooth it out.
Yeah, I got some little tools. I found I was never sure how wet to have it, because occasionally sometimes it started like crumbing sort of a bit after I was trying to rework it for a bit. And I think I was probably using 2 big strips of green stuff at a time, which I think made it a bit thick in places. So it's for my first attempt at using it, I think it does the job. And across the table, I don't think you'll majorly notice, and you can quite obviously see the sort of pose change and got rid of the horrible obvious mismatches where the cast didn't quite sort of line up. So I'm happy with how it's come out. So I've probably done 3,000 or 4,000 points of green skins over the last month now, and then so I think I've got another unit of 30 Night Goblins to sort of pull together after this. And then it's on to the sort of bigger boys. I've got a unit of 40 Metal Savage Orcs to sort of do, about 100 Orc boys. So it's just moving over to the.
So
the
they'll be done in time for the next episode.
Oh yeah.
We're recording tomorrow as well. They'll be done.
But no, I've been really enjoying doing them. And I'm looking forward to getting them on the table. I think I've got a practice game in next week with one of my friends, Joe, and his Slayers. So it should be a good tester.
Not a practice game for the narrative event.
Practice game for the narrative event. Yeah.
You don't need to practice goblins ever.
Yeah, well, just flee.
Just go in there. Yeah, just flee. Just unleash fanatics and then just run away. That's all you need to do.
It's
I promise.
Yeah, a long overdue catch-up game with Joe, but so I just sort of use it as a handy excuse to try this. So the Colossal Squig, I have made some sort of fan fiction rules, because he's also going to see play in Liam's narrative event, but some spoilers there, so I'll not go too much into that. But he's got some sort of slightly juiced up mangler rules, basically just +1 on most of the stats, and doubled the points. I think I've put him in as about 200 points, which I think is a bit expensive for what he is, but I just thought I'd be safer than not with his point values in case anyone got upset over him. So should be fun seeing how they play.
Yeah, with that kind of thing, you just go however many points, like just overdo it every time.
Yeah.
And people won't moan.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured.
Like lanterns if they were 450 points a pop. Yeah. Maybe they would. You never know. Yeah,
and that's my
it for hobby, right?
Hobby done, I think.
So
you've been busy doing other stuff, real life things.
With his
apparently. So what we got next is
you guys went to a tournament.
Yeah, with me and Durham GT. Durham GT recap. Blah, God. So me and Jack had a great idea that we could all go up together, and Liam said, "No, you both smell." So me and Jack went up on our own instead.
Not our own.
I don't think
Nearly,
Matty
that's
Jack
nearly the
was.
truth. Nearly the truth. So yeah, me and Jack and a couple of the lads from the Wednesday club. We went up to Durham, didn't we? We got on a mate. Oh, do you know what we should have done, Jack? Put the house on there.
I know, it was mint.
The house was incredible.
Our pre-event game.
Yeah, and the pre-event. Oh yeah, we missed pre-event game. Yeah. So we all pretty much booked Friday off, didn't we, to try and get up there early, and then Jack and one of the other lads, Mark, got up there early, and Mark brought his old school table, didn't he, with the flock
he made like an MDF table topper that sort of folded up. So
it was awesome, to be fair. Yeah, it is on the socials, but I'll put it on ours as well, because me and Al had the terrain. So when we got there, I think we're using placemats as hills and tea coasters as trees.
Woods.
Proper like table hammer. It looked class. But yeah, I'll put it in. I'll try and get it in the description of some sort, or put it on our social on the Facebook. But yeah, it was a good laugh. So it was a weekend event. Five games. Obviously over 2 days. Three on the Saturday, 2 on the Sunday, and it was safe to say, Jack, there was quite a lot of good players there.
It was. I think half of Team England was there.
Yeah, so
It's a problem with going up north, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, for Forgotten North lads come down.
If you go south, then you get easier games.
Yeah, apparently so. I'll let you deal with that in the comments. Yeah, so it was set up by Arran from the Durham Raiders, and they held it at their it's like a community hall, isn't it, Jack? And
yeah, it had like a little charity shop type thing in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Have you still got that?
Yeah, I don't think I've even got it out of the boot yet. Well,
we're not going to mention what it is because it might be worth something soon. I'll tell you off air, Liam, what it is.
Okay.
But let's say, well, it's wrestling related because it was the Royal Rumble on the weekend. So all we did actually all weekend, I think, was play Warhammer and watch wrestling, wasn't it?
Some wrestling memorabilia in the charity shop. It was.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty cool, to be fair. So it was a great little venue. The guys are great up there anyway. Arran comes to my events quite a lot, and a lot of the Durham guys do as well. So really good event. But yeah, I think, Jack, you're first. I need to go through your games because mine won't take very long.
So I took my ogres. So there's no renegades at this event. There's none of the extra points for the sort of suckier armies. So it's just 2,000 points across the board. So I treated myself this time and put a third block of Noblars in. They seem to be the sort of money in the army these days. So it's pretty standard. Two Iron Blasters, a small unit of Bulls just to fill my Cortex, big block of Iron Guts, 3 units of 21 Noblars with Champions, and then I had Tyrant, Slaughtermaster, and a BSB. So that's sort of big Iron Gut unit. Had the Anti-Stomp banner in there, the Regen banner. The Slaughtermaster was in there giving them ward save. And give them sort of extra movement, and then the Tyrant, he was in there I gave him the extra strength, big name. He just had the biting blade, just for some AP2. I think that strength 6, that was probably enough. He had the Icon of Fortitude, so he's immune to multi-wound, so it's really handy for ogres to have anti-multi-wound because they can sort of rack up quite a lot of combat res and sort of die quite quickly to sort of things like the ogre blade. So he was in there to sort of scare those things away.
Is there only Noblars that only have 1 wound in the army?
Yes, and then there's Unit 5 Saber Tooths in ambush. So that although they're in unit strength 1 each because they're wobbies, they have 2 wounds apiece on those. So I just thought I'd put them in just to give a bit of threat to baggage trains, backlines, that sort of stuff. But no save. They're quite easy to just chip a dog off or a cat off, and then suddenly they can't actually take a baggage train and stuff. So they were all right, but not worth writing home for. So yeah, we'll just skip into my game one. So game one, I came up against Alex with his Wood Elves. So I think Alex was sort of relatively new to 1.5 edition. He said he'd only played a couple of games, so he was still sort of tailoring his Wood Elves to fit that. He basically had a couple of units of Wild Riders, the sort of tooled up dragon, pretty solid Stag Lord, some Glade Riders with a wizard in that just sort of jumped back and forth from a woods trying to be a pain. And then he had a big block of Wildwood Rangers.
I'd actually really like this army as well.
Yeah, so at first I was like, oh, that's silly. Why has he done that? And then sort of read the rules and realized. So, firstly, I was supposed to be playing Chaos Dwarfs first game, but then like 10 minutes before the event started, well, as we were waking up, Dan was laughing at me saying, "Oh, your matchup's changed," and so I'd gone from Chaos Dwarfs to this Wood Elves army. So I didn't really know what was going on. And then I looked at these Wildwood Rangers rules and realized that anything that causes fear, they get multi-wound 2 against.
And extra attacks.
And the extra attacks, and pretty much that's my whole army apart from the Noblars. So yeah, not an ideal matchup for me. But yeah, so deployment wise, I pretty much put so we were playing 3 objectives basically along the middle.
And just was it just across from each other, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then baggage train, I think this one was. So
yes.
It was pretty straightforward. So I just basically put a couple of Noblars on either end, unit Noblars in the middle, had my cannons sort of pretty central to be able to get good shooting arcs on wherever his dragon hid. And my Iron Guts sort of sat more towards the right, closer to where my baggage train was behind a hill. And just sort of figured I'd just send them in the direction that the Wildwood Rangers weren't, and just let sort of Wild Riders bounce off them or a dragon bounce off them. So I was quite happy with where I'd sort of deployed. So I went in with my cannon, sort of had that juicy target of the dragon. Sort of first turn, I think I tried to actually snipe out some Wild Riders, which had the Stag Lord in. He had the Ogre Blade, so he was probably the scariest thing to my army in that list. If he sort of came in with something else and was managing to, accept a challenge elsewhere and then just wailed with that. So I tried to nail him with the cannon the first turn. I think I killed one of the Wild Riders, but didn't get down enough to be able to then target him out. So I think I banged my second shot onto the dragon and chipped 2 or 3 wounds off first turn. So I was quite happy with that. My plans with the cannons for the rest of the game was take cannon shots if I could. If not, try and use my breath weapon on those Wildwood Rangers. Strength 4 AP1 could do some damage to those if I got close enough. They sort of proceeded to run the opposite way from my cannon, so I never actually caught up with them with the breath weapons. But my plan was there if it came to ploy. My left flank was basically unit Noblars stacked up against unit Wild Riders, and a little man and his dog, who that would be used as blockers for the Wild Riders. So surprisingly, I won that flank. The Noblars beat the Wild Riders with a little help from some ambushing cats. So that side was fine. The middle
Noblars are just really, really good, aren't they?
Yeah,
So whenever I played them, just a giant pain in the neck.
Yeah, because they're not worth any points either. So like, it's just okay.
Are they like 40 points, aren't they, for 20?
Yeah, if I set an objective for
a
turn, I get my money back, and even if I don't, but it causes you to send something over that way, it still made the money back quite handily.
Hashtag Noblar meta.
Yeah, so left flank took quite easily, so I was catching the objective there. Middle, I pushed up some Noblars straight onto that, and sort of sent a cannon down to squeeze round to try and get into those Wildwood Rangers. He actually pulled his Stag Lord his Stag Lord out that way and bashed through my cannon. You can see on that sort of pitch on the right, I'd sort of set up the Noblars to accept a charge from him. I had the champion there, so I was quite happy about that. But he managed to sort of roll quite a long charge and just ran past those into the cannon. So I'd missed placed him slightly just to like actually got a view on him. So it's a slight misplay from me, but yeah, that he just ran into it and ogre bladed the hell out of the cannon, and then basically got stuck in Noblars for the rest of the game. So he probably didn't make his points back. The Wild Rangers did a sort of big shift from central, went round to the flank, sort of chasing after my Iron Guts, as some other Wild Riders sort of pushed up, and the Dragon pushed around the flank, around the rear, tried to get into my baggage train. I was sort of basically just dancing around the Dragon with a unit of Noblars, knowing that if I got a charge off on him, I'd probably win and push him off the board in those areas. So he never actually managed to stand still long enough to capture the baggage train, because I just kept sort of putting the pressure onto him. So we ended up actually charging the flank of my Iron Guts with the Dragon. He tried to charge with some Wild Riders into the front. No, so I'd pushed my cannon in to block the Wild Riders. They'd run into the cannon, killed the cannon. I had like an 8-inch overrun into the Iron Guts to get a multi-charge off with the Dragon, and rolled like a 6 or something like that. So they fell short. So it was just the Dragon into the flank of my Gut Bus. My Tyrant challenged out. He actually beat me first round of combat. He sort of got me down to 1 wound, my Tyrant, so that was a bit scary. And managed to sort of get a draw, I think, after my sort of static combat res. Second round, he killed the Tyrant, but did it with his Lord on top, so didn't actually get any overkill. He basically got 1 wound, and that was all he got. And then I beat him on static combat res and ran him off the board. So that was nice. And then yeah, and then the Wild Rangers charged into me, into my rear at that point, and they absolutely slapped the multi-wound 2, especially with even just for like my regen saves. Like it was just racking up a lot of combat res. My Tyrant was there, so he was just sort of whittling through the ogres through the back of me. The cats by that point had managed to sort of run around the back, and they charged into the back of them. I was thinking, oh, that's a good idea, and then realized just 1 wound from each Wild Ranger kills a cat because of the multi-wound 2. Yeah. So we just ended up with this sort of slog on that right hand side, and I think it basically ended up with I think I killed the Wild Rangers, but I basically had my 2 characters and 2 Iron Guts left in the block. So he just hadn't quite done enough.
BSB's in that unit as well, isn't it?
BSB's in that unit,
right. Yeah.
I had a little bit of punch. So like basically every hit I was doing, I was killing.
Yeah,
I was killing what else?
I think they've literally got light armor.
Yeah, with great weapons, like they weren't getting any save, or they were getting 6 up at best.
Well, just your generic ogre punchers, I think, kill them. No, the AP one with the.
Yeah, it was Iron Guts anyway, so I was just smashing faces.
Iron Guts will do it.
I was probably killing a rank at a time. He was probably killing an ogre or 2, but getting like 12 combat res from regen save, that sort of stuff. So it was quite a tight combat. I managed to just sort of eke it out in the end, and I think the game ended mainly because of my objective capturing. I think it ended sort of a low medium sort of win to me, maybe a 13 or a 14 to me. So it was a lot tighter than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. Those Wild Rangers suddenly sort of came in and gave me a real play for it at the end of the game.
Wait, did you say tighter than you thought it was?
Yes. I thought I was going to. I think it was like 14-6. Okay. I thought I was going to win. I thought I was going to have an easier game of it when I sort of initially looked at the list.
Yeah. I think a lot of people sleep on the Wildwood Rangers because they think, oh, they don't have a save. You know, they're a close order unit, I think, as well.
Yeah. I think when I looked at the list and I thought that Stag Lord with the Ogre Blade is the biggest threat to me, which is why I tried to put the cannons on to him sort of first.
I think if you can get them into combat, they do slap because they should, because they're basically sword masters, aren't they? They're weapon skill 5, strength 5, AP 2. So they should, in theory, kill most stuff they hit. Fighting at initiative as well, so they haven't got like overstrikes last weapons. So yeah, I think it's one of those though. They want to get into combat, but they don't really want to charge. They want because they want to fight in the 2 ranks, don't they? So
yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. I knew the dragon really wasn't that big of. Well, I didn't think he was going to be that big of an issue. Knowing that my block just beats him without the stomps, that sort of stuff. The Wild Riders, I was quite happy. I could just bounce a charge off those and off the Iron Guts. It was that Staggerlord that scared me. So when he went the opposite direction to the Iron Guts, I was quite happy to sort of give him some targets in that center to sort of pull him away.
Was it
I think he made a bit of a mistake where once he'd killed that cannon, he sort of stood his ground. The Noblars turned around and went to shoot at him, and he used his evasive, and sort of, and that sort of forced him even further away from the Iron Guts. So it stopped what would have been an easy charge for him into the rear of the Iron Guts when the dragon was in with it, into being too far away. And like those Noblars weren't gonna do anything to this like 2-up save with the 5-up ward sort of Stag Rider. So it was a little bit of a misplay from him there, but overall it was a really good game.
I think he said as well, because I think he played Al in one of the later rounds, and he said like he's just getting used to 1.5 and stuff. So I think he did quite well. I really liked his army as well. It was a really good looking army.
Yeah, it was really nicely painted.
I think his last game, it was a Wood Elf, if I remember rightly.
Okay.
And I remember going over to the table, like going to the loo and stuff, and they were just models just dancing around each other, not doing anything because they weren't wounding each other. And I was like, "What are you doing? You're getting pillow fighting." Sorry, Jack. Continue your round 2.
No worries. So so 1 win. I was happy. So game 2, I went into Mark, like Pete with his high elves. He came with double dragon, 1 mage, 1 fighty noble, a Frostheart Phoenix, and then basically all cav. So this was the table quarters. So I picked this bottom right quarter. He deployed opposite me, and then we sort of had this big sort of gap in the middle between these 2 buildings. And I think there was just 4. This was the 4 objectives one. So there's 4 objectives, and that was pretty much all. I think that was the only scoring in this one. So I started off with Noblars on 2 of them. I just basically put my big Iron Gut bus pretty central. Was quite happy just to march forward and take whatever he threw at me really. Deployed my 2 cannons that were pretty tight behind the Iron Guts so that nothing could charge over the top into them. And first turn, I think I took 4 wounds off his big dragon with the 2 cannons.
That's not bad going.
No, so that was good. So it meant it put quite a lot of pressure onto him to have to sort of push forward then, and he just made a few small mistakes. Went for a charge into the guts with the prince and the silver helms, which is pretty much what you see in that top left. It was quite a long charge. The prince got in, the silver helms failed their charge, so he basically came in a solo dragon, and again, and I think I just beat him quite handily in combat. He broke. And even with my regen banner, sort of only being able to chase D6, I think he rolled like a 3 on his dice, just 111 on his flee, and I just chased him and caught him down. So I got that quite quickly. I think the cannons proceeded to shoot off the Frostheart Phoenix. The next turn, I think he pushed around this sort of left flank with 2 units of silver helms, took out some Noblars, got stuck into a cannon. I think the other cannon then got a counter charge into them and sort of bashed those and killed those off. Iron Guts just continued to push forward. I blocked in the silver helms and dragon princes at the top with some Noblars on the right flank. The Iron Guts got into them and just ran through those. And then it basically just me trying to take pot shots at the remaining dragon with the wizard on with my cannons as he was sort of dancing around buildings, and I was sort of trying to move around to get shots off. And yeah, the game finished with just hit that dragon alive, and I think he had killed a unit of Nobles off my table. So that was a big 19-1 victory. So that was a good result.
You're just struggling to kill the dragon for the points at the end.
Yeah, that was it. I was basically sat on 3 objectives for most of the game, and that other dragon was just running back and forth as I was trying to. I think I got him down to like 3. I think he had like 1 more wound, and I needed to get some points off him. So yeah, it was a relatively run-of-the-mill victory after that sort of failed charge.
A really pretty army as well. Really nice painted army, that the high elf one.
Yeah. I played Matt before in 8th edition, so he's always liked his high elves. And then game 3, my first Team England opponents had young Jack Toll with his Bretonians, and going into this one, I was worried. He had big unit of Pegasus with a couple of super fighty characters.
Jack, just before you get into it, because Al played him the first game, didn't he? And he also bobbed himself because he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But he said it was more to do with the fact that he had units that he'd never seen before, which I was like, right, okay. So they're really confusing. So I'm not going to obviously say what happened because you're going to do the thing, but like is it the Yeoman? Is it?
Yeah,
like, I had never ever seen the Yeoman, so he didn't know what they did, and I think that was his downfall.
Yeah, so it was basically a gunline Brett's list, but with a big block of Pegasus with fighty characters in. So I think he had 2 or 3 wizards in the basically sat in mounted yeoman who would just run forward, throw a few fireballs and the summonings, and then reserve move back. There's a couple of units of just archers. He had a little unit of 5 foot knights, which I think was just to give a bit of a leadership bubble out to those peasants. He had 2 bombards, which was sat on the hill up in that top left. So obviously made them quite a difficult target for me to cannon off. And then he had all his Pegasus sort of sat in front of those cannons to start off with.
Bombards being on a small base and then being able to put them on a hill just means you've got a 1 in 6 chance of hitting them.
Yeah,
it's ridiculously bonkers.
Yeah, so my deployment, I'd made a sort of a bit of a boo boo and left one of my cannons out in the open in front of those, in front of his cannons. So I was a bit worried that was going to get took out turn 1, but thankfully I rolled a 6 and took turn 1, which meant I turned my cannon at his cannons. I managed to kill one of those off. I got that lucky shot and killed one off. So that took a lot of pressure off on me because I knew he couldn't kill my cannons in 1 turn basically. So I had a bit of freedom with those. I pushed Noblars up on the. This was a triple objectives, sort of across the center. So I pushed 1 unit of Noblars up the right flank, controlled that one. I sat my iron guns on the center, and sort of said, yeah, okay, if you want to bring your Pegasus Knights into me, you're more than welcome to. We'll see how that goes. And I pushed another Noblar unit up on this left flank to just sort of capture. I think my second cannon shot that turn killed 2 Pegasus off that hill as well. So it suddenly made that unit a little less worrying. It still had those 2 horrible characters in, but he was suddenly down to maybe only 4 Pegasus in that unit instead of 6. And my sort of iron gut block was suddenly going, actually, you know what? I'm pretty, I'm quite happy for you to sort of fly around me, and if you want to take the charge, then we'll see how that goes. He then, I think he took, I don't know, a wound or 2 off one of my cannons with his remaining cannon before that got eaten by some ambushing saber tooths. So I took that artillery backline out. I think I managed to, his level 3 in a unit of mounted yeomen was I'd pushed around in this gap between the hill and this house, sort of on the left hand side.
Here.
Yeah, sort of in that area, just where those Noblars are. So it sort of squeezed into that gap between the Noblars and the house. I sort of looked at it, I think he had 6 yeomen protecting the sort of wizards, so stopping me being able to target her out. I moved my Slaughtermaster slightly around that building to get a shot into them, and managed to take out 2 or 3 of those yeomen, which opened. And even though they had a bit of magic res on them, as you know, it was worth the risk for me. So I targeted them, killed a couple of yeomen, which then let me target the level 3 with one of my cannons, and I managed to kill her quite early on. So suddenly he's not. I've started to really whittle down his offensive output. His sort of other 2 wizards were only level 1s or 2s on the sort of right hand flank, and they were just throwing fireballs and summonings into a unit of Noblars. And cool, okay, feel free to do that. I just sort of kept marching them up and pressuring, throwing weapons at them, whittling them down, and sort of kept them not really doing anything. He wasn't challenging for the objectives. The Pegasus Knights basically proceeded to run along the flank, took out the sort of first cannon, overran off the board, which is that sort of picture on the right. You're seeing them sort of come back on the board. As they were going off, I basically just pushed everything as far as I could up the other side of the board. So I think he basically managed to take out the small unit of bulls with his one of his characters that came out of that unit. The Lord went up and took out the other unit of Noblars and sort of went up towards where the Sabertooths are on the hill. And the Pegasus Knights tried to take out the Pegasus Knights killed the bulls, and the BSB went for another unit of Noblars up in the top right. I think he had the Pegasus, the BSB in the front of the Noblars. He had a unit of mounted yeomen in the flank, and the Noblars won the combat. Thankfully, unfortunately, they weren't fast enough to catch him as he ran away from me. But it was quite funny. I managed to win that combat. I think last turn he was sort of second. So last turn he just went for a sort of Hail Mary, threw his Duke into the Iron Guts, just to see, if he could make anything. He knew he had Stubborn to fall back on. He knew I was unlikely to be able to kill him in a challenge. So he went in, tried to basically kill off my Tyrant. I think he managed to do a wound to my Tyrant, and I did 3 wounds back to his Duke. So I won the combat, but he's stubborn, so I couldn't actually get any points from there. So I think he was up maybe 200 points on kill points after sort of just clearing out the back line. And I basically just got the wizard and the cannons and a couple of yeomen, really. I don't think I killed enough of the Pegasus to get those points. So I think he was on something like 1,200 and I was on 1,000 for kill points, or something along those lines. And then, but I outscored him by like 600 or 700 points on objectives. So I think I ended up winning 12-8. So that put me on 3 wins after day 1. And sorry, Dan, but there's a bit of a spoiler here. I was the only person to finish day 1 on 3 wins, so I was very happy with that performance.
You wouldn't have thought it, or you were right, Marley Bum, when he got home.
I presume it went perfectly well on day 2 as well.
Outstanding. So game 4, I had my second team England. So I had Scott with his Tomb King hell list. I'm
going to say we're not monetized yet, I don't think. So you can say what you really think.
So I've known Scott for quite a long time, but this is the first time I managed to play him. And he's running this horrendous list, which is basically he's brought out of like worlds and that sort of stuff, and it's 2 massive blocks of skellies, one with just all the characters you can think of, and basically has this like it's a Tomb King rule where basically has all these lower level characters that his general can basically pass all his wounds off to. So it basically has this like Lord, which basically has like 18 wounds associated with him that you have to get through before you can even touch him. So he has that one kill, like this really offensive killing block, and then one slightly, which he calls the smaller block, which I think just has a wizard in there for glittering robe, and maybe one other herald type guy in there. So going into this, I've not played something like this before, so I knew the smart play was to just not engage. So Ross, that went over with us, had played the game before with his beastmen, which are a bit more mobile probably than the ogres. And he didn't engage, and they just sort of ran rings around each other and got a 10-10 draw. So I knew a draw or somewhere around there was relatively feasible. Issue with this one was we had the special feature in the middle, which was worth 200 points. And the scoring that we were using at this event was, I think it was like 100 points for that draw differential. So it's really low brackets to sort of start losing.
Win, law, dross. Win,
yeah.
lose, draw. Okay.
So I knew that. So it was 20-0. So I knew that even if I fully avoided him, I was still probably going to lose 13-7 just because he'd take the objectives and the central feature. So instead of doing the smart thing and doing that, I decided to just go for it and see what happened. You'll see in the top left picture, his deployment. This was like the diagonals deployment. There's this special feature in the middle which is taking up quite a lot of space, and his 2 units are big. So although he'd measured the gap between, so his fighting block's the one on the left, and I deployed against the weak one. And although he'd measured to see that he could sort of wheel past the terrain, what he didn't account for was then getting through the gap between the terrain and his second unit to be able to sort of get a flank charge into me if I was in that space. So I pushed up basically right in front of the little unit, Arcane Agency, and got right in front of them. And he sort of tried to charge me in the flank and couldn't because there just wasn't the space. So he sort of got stuck in this awkward spot where he couldn't get into me. And it gave me a bit of time to sort of fight the little block. So next turn I charged into the little block, probably killed 20 or 30 skellies after sort of combat res, which was maybe a third of the block. And unfortunately I killed one or two too many, in that it gave him just enough space to fall back 2 inches and not go off the edge of the map. But that 2 inches that he fell back was literally a millimeter enough to open up the space for him to be able to flank charge me then. So it really was a game of millimeters. I think if we were playing this on Warhol or something like that, like with super accurate measurements, it could have gone either way, and maybe potentially I would have got another turn into that sort of combat and sort of potentially been able to break that little block. But it meant that sort of super fighter block was going to hit me in the flank. So I took the decision to try and flee from that and just disengage. I knew that I would be able to outmarch him, move out the way, block him up with some novellas if I needed to, and sort of get that angle to safety around the side of these trees and sort of back around onto my table edge. So instead of fleeing, he rolled his dice quickly before I rolled mine, and like he basically rolled like effectively 5 inches sort of. So I guess he needed 5 inches to get away from him. So of course I threw my dice, rolled an 8, and then I was like, oh, actually that one of those dice, I think there was a 3 and a 5. I was like, oh, one of those dice is the 5 is cocked. It was slightly cocked on the edge of my tray, so I was like, oh, I'll re-roll that. Of course, re-rolled it into a 1.
What a gentleman!
Yeah. So he caught me by an inch, and that was effectively game over. He took my sort of big block. Didn't really manage to get anything else, but still from just killing that and objectives the rest of the game, got a 20-0.
So that list, I did a rendition of it, didn't I, and put it in our chat for 12.50.
Yeah.
And I actually thought Liam and disowned us all. Because he went on a rant. He went on a rant, and I actually felt like I could just be told off by my parents.
My earliest stance of I wish people would just play Warhammer.
Yeah.
Like have a bunch of units on the table, make it look fun.
It is. It's thematic because it is Royal Host style because it is the phalanxes, isn't it? So
yeah, but I think the idea of that, you know, just in the pictures of that when you've got it like all the artwork, how it goes from here to here, and it's lots of different units, not just one giant blob. So yeah,
two giant blocks.
Yeah.
So it's a big loss, and because we ended so quickly, we basically didn't re-rack, but we sort of pulled it back to as in I didn't flee, and sort of as if I'd stood and held. So I reformed to face him, but I could only get sort of 3 wide. Reformed to face him and took the charge. He beat me in combat. Didn't really kill huge. He didn't kill huge amounts, but he beat me in combat. Not enough to score any points really. I fled because he sort of had 900 wounds in that unit. I rolled a 4 on my flee, and then he rolled a 3 to chase me. So it wouldn't have actually caught me. I would have rallied, sort of ran and then ran away. So so yeah, it was.
You still made the right choice in the moment, though, didn't you?
Yeah. So yeah, another thing, and you know, probably 60-70% of the rest of the time, I'm sort of getting out of the way.
By the time you've pivoted and stuff around your centre, and he hasn't, and you've got like 3 or 4 extra inches on him.
Yeah, and I think he was, like he didn't have huge amounts of room to maneuver because of that terrain and his other unit. So whether he'd have ever actually sort of managed to go the full, like a further distance than that would have been tight. I think he pretty much just about got me with what he could. So it's a bit, not feels bad, but it was just a sort of a bit of a
disappointment.
Like I basically had 2 choices. It was either not play the game, and just stay on the other side of the board for 6 turns, which I don't like to do. You see from the armies I take, I like to go and actually get into combat and sort of.
I know someone who does like to do that
though. So yeah, it was either basically play the game, not engage, and take a sort of smallish loss, which would sort of keep me in contention at the top, or do what I did, go for it, see what happens, and learn my lesson for next time to know sort of how to approach it in the future.
You weren't very well either, were you? Towards the end of the second, so
I started coming down with a migraine sort of halfway through this.
I was playing my girl come through, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Cool's here because you had the sunglasses on, didn't you? Like, he's either fallen asleep or he's somehow really drunk or hungover.
I started coming down with a migraine. All my vision had gone blurry, and which wasn't ideal, but it's just one of those things. So I took a big loss this game, which basically put me right out of contention for sort of
podium,
unless I got a massive win game 5.
Speaking of
game 5, I went into my 3rd Team England member, Steve Toll. So he had Wolves of the Sea with big dragon, small dragon, exalted dragon, load of marauder horsemen, 3 units of 2 skin wolves with champions, a couple of units of berserkers. So basically there was like 10 different champions in his list. So I knew it was going to be really hard to stay unengaged and not get away without having challenges pulling out my characters. And he had a Chaos Lord on a steed with the Ogre Blade, so he was scary. And he had just a level 1 or 2 wizard with the puppet, which basically came and sat behind one of those buildings and just was a pain all game. So as usual, he issued a challenge out for turn 1 with one of his Marauder Berserkers. I could only accept with Noblar champions, which I did. I proceeded to kill him. I think we were striking at the same initiative, and I killed him and survived his attacks that he put back my way. And yeah, won the challenge. So I got to take turn 1. So obviously he had played.
Wild.
He was 99% sure that he was going to win that challenge. So he'd obviously positioned sort of dragon and stuff in such a way that he wasn't really concerned about my cannons, because he was fairly sure he was going to be able to move before he got to play. So I got turn 1. I think I got 3 wounds off the dragon. Turn 1. I probably, in hindsight, should have focused the cannons on the Chaos Lord with the Ogre Blade. Having correctly identified in the early game against Wood Elves that he was the sort of the problem to the army, and especially with the amount of mobile champions in this army.
I mean, the name's kind of in the sword. You know what I mean?
The
name of the sword.
It's not a sword that belongs to ogres. It's a sword that's designed.
It's chops ogre. Yeah, it's got ogre bane.
So this one we had baggage trains. And I don't think we had any objectives. I think it was baggage train and domination.
Domination, yeah.
So I sort of put a couple of units of Noblars. It's the one where we sort of have like a 6 or 8 inch.
Yeah, meet engagement, I think it's called.
For the deployment. So we sort of slightly offshoot each other.
Left-hand side, isn't it?
Yeah. So I just put a couple of units Noblars on each flank. Knew that they could. Well, I knew that any of his units that got into me was probably going to kill the Noblars. So I just tried to spread the army out as quite as wide as I could, just to sort of spread out what he was doing, and hoped that a round or 2 of shooting of Noblars would do enough to whittle those small units of horsemen or berserkers down to enough where they couldn't do anything. The Angots, I figured I'd just put in the middle, pop him between those 2 buildings, and sort of deny him getting any easy flanks on me. With all these sort of mobile units, and the cannons, just tried to blast dragons. Chipped a few wounds first turn. He then sort of moved his dragon up behind that sort of grey house, looking into the gap, and he moved a unit of berserkers, basically in the gap, with a unit of marauder horsemen behind, or the other way around, and basically left me with a max charge on my ogres into that sort of no, not quite max charge. I think it was like a 5-inch charge into that front unit, and the next unit were an inch behind them. So I went for it, said, okay, cool, I'll charge you. He fled with that first unit. I didn't redirect, so I just said, okay, I'll continue to chase those. So he didn't get to flee with that second unit, and I rolled a 6 and sort of overran into that unit, which got me into combat. I killed that unit of marauder horsemen. He was very tightly packed around there. So he had skin wolves, more horsemen. The unit of skin wolves broke, started fleeing. The unit that had fled initially, that was sort of now maybe 2 inches ahead of where I was. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to overrun now into those. I'll kill those. I'll get to reform, face this dragon that's now sort of very precariously close to me. I then rolled a 1 on my overrun. So not only did I not catch this unit in front of me, it then meant I didn't have any space for reforming because I was so tight up against it. So I basically thankfully I hadn't gone quite far enough to open up my flank to the dragon, but it put me in a very iffy position where I had a lot of stuff around me. He then charged in with the dragon. I think he forgot I had the stomp banner and was just like, right, I'm going with the dragon. The Chaos Lords come in on the other side of the grey building, sort of down the right-hand flank, just sort of running through cannons. And I think he failed to charge on a cannon and basically sat in front of the 2 cannons. And I was like, okay, I'll kill him next turn. That's fine. The dragon charged into me and I won combat. A tyrant beat him in combat, and he fled. I knew that I was never going to be able to catch him, because not only would I not roll high enough to catch him because he had his swift stride and stuff, but I knew as soon as I pivoted to sort of try and start chasing him, I was going to clip into that grey building. So I made a mistake here. So the Chaos Lord is basically just off this bottom right of the picture, this top left picture. So I reformed to face the Chaos Lord, who is just running around solo at the minute after this failed charge, and thought, okay, I'll go after him, and try and get those points. Which just proceeded in him fleeing and sort of rallying the next turn, and sort of running back and forth between my units before he finally got a charge into the ogres alongside, I don't know, 4 skin wolves, which managed to challenge a sort of big characters out, and the Chaos Lord just went to town on the unit. What I should have done is reform to face where those Marauder Horsemen were. At that point, I think there's the Marauder Horsemen and 2 units of skin wolves sort of all clustered together, and the wizard behind the red building that had the puppet. If I'd reformed to face them, I could have charged one of those. That would have fled, but I'd have sort of ran into one of the other ones, killed those, killed another unit behind them probably after I overrun into them, and sort of tidied up a few points there, and more crucially got rid of several champions off the table, and also got away from the Chaos Lord, which was the issue. My problem was I got sort of drawn into thinking, oh, I need to go save those Noblars, when in reality there were 100 points of Noblars down in the right flank which the Chaos Lord could kill. Like I should have just been like, okay, that's nothing. If I can kill these units up here, they're worth a lot more than those Noblars, and it puts me in a safer position. The dragons continuing to flee up into that top right corner. I think he's fled for 2 turns and rallied like 2 inches from the edge of the board. So at this point, or very close to this point, is dragons fleeing up into the top right, is Chaos Lords fleeing down to the bottom right. I'm on for a 20, probably a really good win. I make this mistake, and very quickly
it all goes wrong.
It all goes wrong. He rallies his Chaos Lord, who gets to charge into these alongside those skin wolves. They basically kill that unit, or do enough to break it, and sort of So the Angots had gone down to try and save these Noblars, sort of on that right hand picture with that big pile of dice. Is the sort of ogres ended up about there. There was a unit of Noblars just sort of north of them by the grey building in a combat with the Berserkers. I fought that combat first, and the Noblars jumped over my Iron Guts, which I'd left like 6 and a bit inches behind the Iron Guts and the board edge, thinking, okay, worst comes to worst, and I fall back in good order, I'm not going to go off the board. Those Noblars then fell perfectly into that gap, which meant as soon as I fell back in good order with my Iron Guts, they just jumped straight off the board. So for the sake of trying to save, a 100-point unit, I got shunted off the board because, just stupidity really. If I'd fought the combat the other way around, the Noblars wouldn't have been in that position and sort of had me bouncing off the board. So there's definitely a few mistakes that I came out of this, game with a sort of blaring headache, migraine, sort of in full flow. Which maybe another time I wouldn't have made some of these mistakes, but it was nice to be able to finish the game. I took a massive loss. I took another 20-0 loss, so I got 0 points on day 2. But I came out of it very clearly knowing what I'd done wrong, and like playing that game, a mirror match again, I'm fairly confident that it could have still gone very as a good win to me if I'd sort of just not made those sort of tiny stupid mistakes. And Steve's always good fun to play against, so it was a good game. But again, it was a humbling day 2 as I went from sort of top of the leaderboard down to sort of 19th, 20th on day 2 after these sort of 2 big defeats. But so I think another day, another set of dice roll. Game 4, I could have taken a sort of small loss. This game, I could have taken a decent win, and probably had a good chance of sort of podium. I think Steve went on to get 5th place after this game, so and sort of only missed out on podium by
Did
a
he
couple
not
of points.
finish fourth?
Maybe fourth. I know him.
Yeah.
Him and both his sons.
He was
both
close,
like,
weren't he? Yeah.
Fourth and fifth or something like that. So it was very close, and yeah, it could have quite easily swung the other way if I just hadn't been not quite on the ball.
Yeah,
But no, overall it's a good weekend, and some nice games.
Yeah, those side of games where you're up against the better players do come down to like the odd little mistake, or sometimes just a dice roll not going roughly as you expected.
That's the game, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's why we love the game for those
That's
things.
why we love the game.
Yeah, just sometimes it just feels a bit when you not quite there, and it's
yeah. Anyway,
are we all ready for a laugh?
Sure, did really well.
I did well getting it all painted. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah. So my list was in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have gone pure Night Goblins, but I did because it was funny. And this was obviously not. As you both know, and people might know online, I'm not into the big Team England scene and stuff like that. I'm quite local and stuff with my lot. So I just built a fun list, didn't realise the actual ferocity of some of the lists up here, and was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. But I committed to it and got it done. Even printed out, a couple of foots of Gork, some objective markers.
I want those objective markers printed, please, Dan.
Okay.
It really annoys me that you've not mirrored one of those feet.
I know, I did that, and then thought about it when it was on the printer. I was like, oh yeah, he's got 2 left feet. But I think Mork or Gork would have 2 left feet though.
Well, that's one from Mork and one from Gork.
One for Gork, yeah. So one's a bit more lighter green than the other, and then because the other thing was I didn't want to paint them exactly the same, just so you didn't know which one's from which wizard. So I tried to change them up a little bit. So yeah, it was pure Night Goblin. So game 1, he's a lovely lad. We'll go with Warwick. He's a really nice guy. So he's from the Durham area, up the northeast. He comes up to a lot of the events, my events, and a lot of the Barnsley events as well. And apparently, I feel quite sorry for him because apparently he says that people don't want to play him up here because of his lists. But he's a nice guy. But I can see why. So he doesn't actually usually run this sort of a list with lots of screens. He usually runs the big Tomb Guard blocks. So I was playing Vampire Counts, and we had...
Played him 2 years ago, and he had 6 screens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So the screens were the 2... although, to be fair, he took one of the... Is it the one that gives one of the oh, God, what they call? Mortis Engines Stupidity for the Fort Ward, I think it was. So he took that on...
with a reroll. Oh, no.
Yeah, so he took that on the general. And then the book that give you the extra heal basically, and then rolling on one you take a wound or whatever it was. Yeah. So it was 2 Mortis Engines, 2 lads, big lads, Vargeist, Terrorgeist, get there eventually, and then 2 Banshees, two Banshees for the screams, and then it was big blocks of zombies. But then what he'd done, which were quite clever actually, was layered the zombies with skeletons. So it is like a rank of skeletons, 2 ranks of zombies, a rank of skeletons, 2 ranks of zombies. So it was quite clever what he did with that. So that was
it just small units?
Small units, yeah. So 20 zombies and 10 skeletons. So you were never getting... You had to kill an entire unit, really, which you can do. I think I killed maybe a couple of skeleton units in this game and maybe a zombie unit. But yeah, so I don't know if he was taking pity on me because he knew my leadership would probably be at 2 for most of the game because of the streams. But I got turn 1, managed to Doom Diver off one of the Terrorgeists, which were quite funny because I rolled. I kept rolling 4 at 3s, which obviously 4 damage with the Doom Divers, and big bases. It's very rarely you miss. So obviously with the Doom Divers being able to redirect were perfect. We kind of just stood staring at each other for about 3 turns, to be quite honest, because he didn't. So essentially, all of my cavalry and the big bouncy balls and everything rushed up that right-hand side. So I thought if I put everything fast on the flank and try and basically turn round, but then I didn't realise that I can only wallop as well. I did realise I could wallop as one of the banshees, but then I couldn't get the other one to scream because I'm just going to get screamed off. But I managed to kill a couple of units of skeletons, the Terrorgeist, and then I think it was from turn 3 onwards, the screams just absolutely annihilated me. I think he got all of the debuffs he could do. So I was at -3 at one point, and then -5 at another, and I was like, I was cool. I was just losing goblins left, right, and centre. So most of the stuff got screamed off, and then he had a unit of bats just where his tape measure is actually. They come down and were just causing havoc because I couldn't catch them even with the squigs. I rolled really poorly actually on this with the squig maneuvers. They were only moving like 6 inches a turn, so I can't even do anything. I'm just stood here, so I'm just going to run forward. I think I took a couple of wounds off one of the mortis engines with the Doom Divers again, but then he healed it. So I was like, cool, that's that. And then the screams just ripped through my army. And the problem was the more goblins I lost, the worse the leadership got. So in the end, I was literally leadership 6 for 90% of the game. So yeah, rough day. Well, rough game 1. I think we did. I manage a 14-6, I believe, in that game. So I scored points. I just stood on the objectives, which are the only way I were ever going to win. I mean, even the Fanatics didn't do a lot. One thing I will say about this weekend, the Fanatics killed more of my models than my opponents, which is fantastic. But when you're trying to play in a tournament, it's horrendous. And I'm not even lying. Like, we'll get to a game in a minute where there's an actual kill count of goblins, not my opponent. So, really nice guy. Tough, very hard list to play against mine. I was like, wow, clearly Arran doesn't like me here because look what he's given me. But no, obviously it was all random on BCP. But it was just an look of the draw, and that's what I got. Made a fight of it, but yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? Can't.
Who did you play? Who did you play on game 2?
Let's skip. No, yeah. So because they weren't using the FAQ because it was out the week before, and all the lists were in 2 weeks before, I believe.
FAQ came on the Wednesday.
Yeah,
the weekend, but
you can go back onto game 2. I will go through it. So I played Stan with Cathay. It was only one lantern.
Full power.
That's all we needed. Yeah, 1 lantern, 2 Shigengans, 3 cannons, and then just the right amount of core. And I think he had a ruby ring and a ring of jet, and got first turn. And because it was in the quarters, my army's that big, I had to box up. There was nowhere I could hide. So essentially, I had to deploy on the line to get everything in. A cannonball went straight through everything, killed everything, killed the mangler, killed about 5 squig hoppers. The lantern went over, blew units up left, right, and centre. Failed panic checks. Then everything ran off. Genuinely, everything ran off because I was so close. And I can't do anything about it. And I think I called it at the end of his turn 2 because I didn't have everything just ran off. I think I had like 20 dudes left. Oh, I released some Fanatics, and it managed. So 3 went through the lantern, did no wounds, and then his turn when they move again, I rolled the end squig to obviously try and pump it back through. And it did a perfect line when it hit the other 2 squigs that went straight through, so killed the squigs. The Fanatics, yeah. So I was like, oh, right, okay then. And then obviously the rest of the army was fleeing, so I can't release any more Fanatics. And I was like, should we just call it there? Because he's just going to take me. You're just going to either make me run away or blow me up. To be fair, I have to apologise to Stan because I'd had enough at that point. I've been playing Scream the Spam it first game and then playing Cafe uncomped Cafe. I was a bit mardy.
Oh,
but
you say it's uncomped, but it was actually quite restricted. Like
it
balloon,
was,
2 non-characters.
Yeah.
Ring of Jet wasn't.
It was just to run like to play vampire counts and then somehow play Cathay in the second round. I was like, sound. But yeah, like I say, I have to apologise to Stan, so we're a bit mardy, but I think it was warranted. But he did what he had to do, and we had a chat about it, and he was lovely. So I think they did a review on the Forgotten North, so you can go and watch his pity on me.
Yeah,
if you want to go to
pity on Scott's pity on me as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, evil men, those guys. No, so then I got paired into Corn Demons. Danny, we played Danny before. He's been down at our club before. I think he did quite well at our weekend event, if I remember rightly.
I think he did really well day one, and then petered off a bit day two.
Yeah, because then obviously we were playing against the powerless, weren't we, towards the end of the event. But yeah, this was just mad. This was just a crazy game. Doom Diver'd the Demon Prince off my turn 2. just landed goblins on his head. Failed his ward save. And that probably pretty much kept it quite close, if I'm being honest, to the points wise.
Yeah, because he didn't have any infantry to hide him next to, so he couldn't target him, did he?
Yeah. So his lists were essentially those 2 big monsters, the Demon Prince, some 3 units of the Corn
Flesh
Hounds,
and
then the Juggernauts with a Herald with a Battle Standard Bearer on it. This one Dan made so many decent ward saves, because obviously I've got no magic weapons apart from the foot, which in this game got quite a decent kill count of goblins, kept standing on my units. I think the Fanatics also did quite well at killing a lot of goblins in this army. But in the end, I killed the Demon Prince. I killed all of the what they call Juggernaut guys. What they call the demon ones? Not called Juggernauts.
Skull Crushers.
Skull Crushers. Yeah. Killed the Skull Crushers. Killed the Demon Prince. I think I got one of the Flesh Hounds down to a unit of 3, maybe. But it was just that bloodthirster just absolutely just tore through me. The Mangler Squigs actually. In fact, the highlight of this game. So see where he moved there where he's just moving there with the Soul Grinder. Popped it up there, shot and killed I think about 5 or 6 of the Swig Hoppers, which they didn't panic off, thankfully, because the BSB and the General's were quite close by. So the 2 Squig Hoppers then charged the Soul Grinder, did loads of damage to it, but then he passed loads of ward saves, and I lost combat, and then they both ran off. All right. Oh, wonderful. And obviously, because I'm only bravery 4.
Yeah, Mangler's it, right?
Yeah, and this was one of the most frustrating things ever. So the orange one fled through my units. He actually survived getting hit by a Fanatic, and I failed 3 rally checks. And the only reason I had 3 rally checks is because he kept rolling under a 4 for his run. What is this game?
I've been tabled at this point, and can't remember.
Yeah, you come over, didn't you?
I came over watching. I was just watching this Mangler crawl 2 inches at a time towards the edge of the board.
Yeah, or for God's sake! But no, it was a good game. This one, I think this one were quite close as well. I think this one were. I don't know if this one was 13-7. I think. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was just a bloodbath. Pretty much everything died, I think, on both sides, apart from the bloodthirster.
Corn was happy.
Couple of dogs. Yeah, it was a good game. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, it was good. He was happy with some goblin blood from his corny boys. And then I didn't get actually a picture of this game because there wasn't much to take. That is the army. So I played Chris and his Slayer army, which doesn't give many points away. But we both decided, because we're at the bottom end, so we just went, do you know what? Let's just have a scrap. I shouldn't have done. I should have gone nowhere near him, but I just threw everything forward. And I think at the end of the game, there was just the characters left. I think
hatred came into play a lot in this, didn't it?
Yeah, we were all rerolling to hits and everything. But I think there was one of the guys had the runes where you, for how many kills you get those attacks backs.
Yeah.
So there was a guy, one of them literally killed 12 goblins on his own. Because obviously they hits on 2, so I'm only weapon skill 2, obviously. Hits on 2s, wounds on 2s, rerolling to hit. All right, I'm you just butchered me there with one guy. So this is the game where the Fanatic got a total of 23 goblins, 3 squig hoppers, a doom diver, and himself. Didn't kill any dwarves because I rolled too short for it to get hit anything, and then it just went backwards and kept going backwards through my units. So I was like, amazing. But with this, I know you're supposed to roll it yourself, aren't you? But I let my opponents roll the hits on the units, and Chris rolled like a demon. I just absolutely butchered me. But yeah, literally, I think everything died apart from maybe 6 models in this game. And I think it ended up being 15-5 because of the points I didn't get for obviously keeping stuff alive. Which, yeah, like I said, because we were both just basically playing for the laugh at the point, we just ran at each other. I should have just ran away, but come to have fun with goblins. Not doing it again, but. And then the last game we played, Mark from the club, which at this point we were both like, I really want to lose this game, so we come home with something. Because with Arran's events, if you finish with a wooden spoon, you get a ticket for the next one. So that's quite an incentive to lose if you're not going to win. So we both actually did really stupid stuff and actually managed to play really well, which really annoyed me. So this is just at the end of Mark's turn 1. He'd basically charged, as you can see, that night because he wanted to kill he wanted everything dead. So he charged that night bus straight forward. I in turn released 5 fanatics at it and killed them down to three models, which again shouldn't have done if we were playing for the thing. But like, do you know what? Let's at least unleash everything and see where we are. I think. Because he's got Galrash in this, so Galrash is
a hero. He took Galrash and spent more than 2/3.
He charged everything forward. So like, right, I'm unleashing all the fanatics. Everything's going forward, and then actually, like I say, I did actually all right. Actually, won this game, but yeah, the fanatics actually worked in this game, and I managed to one bomb the giant squig. Giant Chaos Spawn, but he runs it as corn, so he doesn't have any regen or anything. Yeah, so like that just got absolutely blasted by the Doom Divers. That Mangler Squig there died because they've got counter charge. They're chosen knight, so they have counter charge.
Can you counter charge a random mover?
I don't know.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it.
Probably not. Who knows? He died anyway because they're faster than him. So whether it didn't matter to me because we were just like, yeah, let's go.
Did you get initiative bonus for charging with a random mover, or is they always strike up their base?
Yeah, you get initiative.
You still get the initiative. Okay.
Yeah, but I think I can't remember what initiative I have, but I didn't kill the 3 knights that were left, and they killed me, and then lost the timber. So. And then, yeah, there wasn't, again, much left on this board. All the squigs died. I lost both units of archers. We both captured each other's baggage trains before all the squigs died. And Galrash died on turn 5 to a Doom Diver. So basically, just take Doom Divers is what I'm saying about Night Goblins.
I think Mark said across this whole weekend, at least 3 out of 5 of at least 3 turns of every game, he failed his leadership test with Galrash, and he just sort of ran around not knowing what was going on.
Yeah, so it was quite funny because people kept coming up through and like having a look, and we were cursing each other how lucky we were with saving throws because none of us wanted. I'd say I don't have any pretty much, but Mark kept making loads of saves. But he's like, I just want to die. I went, sorry, you've got to roll your saves. But then but I did win this game. But then it was 15-5. But so Chris, who finished bottom, who got the ticket, who apparently wins it all the time, he come through just as we were totting up, and because it's got domination on it, he didn't count his domination points. So before he come through, Mark was sitting bottom, and then because he'd come through and we counted the scores wrong, went back through. Chris's opponent actually got 1,000 more points, so it put Chris at the bottom. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot there. Well, Mark did. So Mark would have finished last if it had not come through at that time. But yeah, no, I thought I did enjoy it. Maybe not so much the getting absolutely battered.
Matchups initially.
Yeah, but it is what it is, isn't it? You can't help BCP. Although I still to this day think it was definitely Arran doing me over. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I enjoyed it. Jack, I'm sure you enjoyed it, apart from maybe the migraines.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was a good weekend.
So we finished this event off, and then I proceeded to drive down the road to my friend's house.
Yeah.
And had a game of 8th edition, which was a wild game of my Lizard Men versus his Cursed Dwarves. And I realised how badly characters mounted on monsters were in previous editions when saves were like split separately and stuff.
Yeah,
it was not good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they are doing another one. I just don't know when yet. He's not said, but I think you'd enjoy it there, Liam. Actually,
I'm sure I would. I've no doubt. Just going to play Warhammer. Like, very rarely you have a bad time when that's what your plan is.
Yeah. Just let me know so I can book that house again, because it was amazing.
Oh yeah, the house was nice.
We should just do
Even though I tried to break into the wrong house initially.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah, because it's kind of like on a. It's an end. So the house buildings are all, they must be owned by people that rent them out. So it's like a terrace, but then the same road name
and the same house numbers with like a little like flat block behind it. And the way they described it, Dan hadn't shared pictures from the booking, but he just like gives some written instructions which are like, go through gate, number 4 is the put code in. So there was a gate which I walked through, number 4 was there as it said, and I was trying to put this code in, and I was like, well, the block box doesn't look like it's described, but maybe it's just been updated. And I was like, the code's not working. I was looking through the window, I was like, this house looks like it's lived in, this doesn't look like an Airbnb. And then like 10 minutes of me trying to break into this house, I sent a picture to Dan. He was like, "Yeah, that's not the house." I was like, "Oh no."
Right, Jack, that's the wrong door colour for a start. So we've got a green door. I think when you said you'd look through the window and stuff, and there was like shoes and stuff in there. You're like, nah, nobody's here yet. It'd be brilliant though if they'd let you in. You just sat there with your Warhammer with some random people in. So what armies do you play? Oh dear. Right. So that's our little review. We did have something else planned, but I think we're probably gonna do a full one on that, I reckon. So it's the FAQ, which we'll do another one on. We're just a bit conscious of time, but we want to really deep dive into it, don't we? So
I won't go that far, but
deep diving.
We want to at least play some games with it, and understand what the changes feel like.
Have any of you played with it yet?
I've done one.
I've only done one. I've got test the game obviously next week. And then the narrative campaign. In sort of 10 days now from now, so that should hopefully give some feel back on how that looks. So maybe we'll record the week after that and sort of come back.
Yeah, why not?
So, let's do that. So I'll get this edited very quickly.
But Liam,
get the next one edited.
Liam's had the one game Liam did play was with Cafe, right, Liam?
It was indeed. So it was just, it felt fairer. Is probably the best way to put it.
Did you change your list much from your basic list?
I had 2 big blocks still. Small unit cav, 1 Shugen, big Shugengen, little Shugengen, 2 crane gun lanterns, 2 cannons and a sentinel. So it's not massively changed. It's basically dropped the character from the balloon, made both balloons cheaper, and bought another Shugengen with the points. And then I went quite light on magic items. So all the ones which have changed, I dropped.
I actually like the lanterns now because they're 135 points base.
Yeah,
and they're still a terror.
I'm undecided on which way I want to go with them. So I'm going to try.
How did the crane gun do?
They're okay.
Yeah.
Like, they either rolled well and you kill 4 or 5 dudes, or you roll poorly and you kill 1. But that's just BS shooting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're not rolling loads of dice, you don't get the redundancy of some of them missing on average rolls.
Dropping a bomb every turn.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even take the bombs.
I don't think you would now.
The only thing is, we played long ways on the table at a slight angle, and I deployed too far back. So what it means is that I didn't shoot turn 1 effectively, because you're always using you're basically trying to stand still in your movement phase, shoot, and then reserve move in to get ready for the following turn. And I was playing against quite a mobile wood elf list, so it's one of the things where against slower armies, you're going to do far better than quicker ones. But yeah, for 135 points, they felt fair.
Yeah,
it feels like an army that's going to. It still feels like it's an army that's going to. It's not suddenly dropping down to trash tier. It's still going to do well. It just takes a bit more skill, not necessarily skill to play, but it's not as push and click.
You have to know what you're doing a little bit, rather than just baby's first Warhammer army that kind of knows everything.
You can still take the magic items and stuff on it with the characters anyway to still make it durable. It's just
I think that's
toughness now, isn't it?
I think you basically have one balloon now, which is a character, which is still really tough to destroy and can still. It's probably still psychologically going to get in people's heads because they're so used to. But for a while at least, it's still going to be one of those like, oh, is that balloon? And we have to deal with that. Whereas in reality, maybe it's one that you can ignore a bit more now.
They've still definitely got play anyway because they have the if you run the fire rain rocket battery, you use that it's line of sight, so it's still got a use, and I still think it's good anyway, just because it still terrifies people, doesn't it? Even though it's been
and it's still a great model, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. Do we actually have any news this week? I don't think we do we?
I think
you haven't come out. Yeah. No, I think we're still waiting on the next wave of Cafe. Still waiting on any hints at what the next journals are going to be.
Because there'd be I would assume some sort of campaignish typey books like they have been doing. Maybe, who knows?
I presume Adeptagon's middle of March or something like that, I want to say.
Yeah.
I presume we'll find out there with stuff.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Just something to look forward to in the old world.
Definitely, I'm just looking forward to seeing what's coming. And I say it every time, but really hyped for it.
The thing is, we get excited about something and then they drop something else. You're like, oh, well, that's come from nowhere. My wallet's going to get punched in again. Right. Shall we leave it there? We'll reconvene at a later date for our big talk.
Yes. Sounds like a plan. Talk.
Perfect.
Thank you for listening, everybody. Please subscribe, engage,
please.
give us some comments. Let us know if there's anything specific you want us to cover, talk about. Give us. Well, I think we're sort of 215-ish mark now of subscribers, so we're starting to trickle a few more in. We've had some positive shares from other sort of channels across the tube, so that's really helped. Thank you for those doing that. We'll continue to give shout outs as well as we can. So thank you all, and we will see you in a week or two.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.